Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we're going to be reviewing a Ferrari 360 with a gated manual. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Audi here in Salt Lake for giving me some time with this car. This particular Ferrari is available for sale for the time being, so if you're interested, link to their website in the description down below. If you have any questions, you need any help, just ask for Landon. And then on a side note, I'll include a link to my car buying guide in the description down below as well. Let's get into it. Powering the 360 is a 3.6 liter V8 naturally aspirated that goes through a 6-speed gated manual. Power outputs are 400 horsepower. This produced at 8,500 RPMs, craziness, and then 275 pound-feet of torque, and in normal Ferrari fashion, just beautiful with how this engine is displayed. Before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So I think the front end of the 360 is iconic for a couple of reasons. First off, very sleek and kind of futuristic looking. Again, if you look at cars that were built during the time, you can definitely see that. And then one of the big things are the headlights. How they are painted to match the rest of the bodywork. Just absolutely fascinating with how that looks. And then you can see with the Ferrari logo front and center. And yeah, just a classic look. I think this has aged very well. So tire and wheel setup is 255/30/19 in the front, and then 355/30/19 in the rear. Crazy setup in terms of how staggered it is. Anyways, look at the silver coloration there. Again, classic Ferrari look. You've got red on the brake caliper, and then you've got the Ferrari crest here on the side. And then if we take a few steps back, this is where you can really see just how well this car has aged. Just look at that side profile, how it tapers off towards the end. It's beautiful. And then we of course have the Ferrari logo here on the back, and then you got the double taillights, which, yeah, kind of an iconic Ferrari design point, doing the circular taillights. And look at the exhaust tips down below. And I love how you can kind of see some of what's happening through the mesh here. And then of course we have the glass that beautifully displays the engine. So yeah, there's the rear. Now this car is over 20 years old at this point, and I'm surprised how well the interior has held up. It looks pretty much brand new on the car. I mean, you can see the seats too. Got the Ferrari horse. I mean, there's a little bit of wear on the seats, you know, from use, but yeah, you wouldn't expect it to be in this good of condition after over 20 years. And then here's the pedal layout down below. And I like how the little switch controls here for different functions like the sport mode. I think that's pretty cool. And look at the dash. Again, that's another part that's just held up beautifully. Now, being a car from 2000, you do have to stick the key in the ignition. Oh, and it comes with an immobilizer, so we gotta hold that down if I remember right. And then we can, so maybe I think you have to hold it. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to do this with both hands because you have to hold the immobilizer and do the ignition. Well, now that she started up, you can see really nice trim around the steering wheel, Ferrari logo, front and center. And the cool part here is gonna be the gauge cluster. Look at that yellow there. You can see the red line all the way up at the top. And it looks like this car is about 27,000 miles on it. So I mean, you consider the age of this car, and that's not a lot of miles driven per year. And also I noticed we got regular stocks here on the back, which is pretty cool. But yeah, just such an iconic look right here. And then I think this is an aftermarket radio. It's an Alpine unit, so it looks like that's something that's pretty common for people. I like how the window controls are in the center here. That's a pretty cool thing. And then you can see the climate controls down below. But this right here is the centerpiece of this car. Gated manual. Really cool with the actuation. And reverse is pretty easy. Press it down, and then you go over. But yeah, I mean, just the mechanical sound of the transmission, the feel of it, really, really cool. I like how the hazard lights buttons right there, and then you can see the little flags. That's cool. Then you got a traditional brake here as well, and then it does have a glove box, so pretty normal setup. That's cool. 360 across, nice trim. And then even the headliner in this car is leather. That is fascinating, even back here. So they do a really good job with the material use in this. I forgot I have to put the key in. I'm so used to reviewing modern cars. Okay, so... Okay, well, got the key in now and gotta do the immobilizer. So then that should... There we go. Now she's on. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. There's visibility over the hood, both the mirrors. I guess I accidentally pressed hazard buttons. Why are the hazard lights going off? Anyways, throughout the rest of the rear. Did I do something wrong? I did the immobilizer. That's weird. Well, I'll get back to you guys in a moment once I get this out of here and figure out why it's blinking so much. Well, setting off in the 360 here, it took me a minute, but I basically messed up with the immobilizer, so I had to reset the immobilizer. Again, I'm kind of new to something like this, so definitely something for me to get used to, that is for sure. I will say the gated manual is really cool. It definitely takes a second to get used to it, going through the gates, but the actuation is great. It feels like a classy manual. Weird way to put it, but it's one of the ways you could describe it. Now, I just drove a newer Audi R8 V10 right before this, and it's crazy to see how much things have changed with suspension and with comfort in these supercars. This is so raw and analog, whereas the R8 was like basically a luxury car. So it's just cool to see the experience difference. I'm gonna actually roll down the windows a little bit. Just turn that off. So you can hear the V8 a little bit more too. Yeah, you get used to the gated manual after a minute. There's definitely a little bit of a learning curve, but it's an experience. It's a really cool experience. Yeah, this is, I think, the third time I've reviewed a Ferrari. I reviewed a couple of I reviewed my friend's 458 a couple of times. And so this is, what, 2 cars before the 458? Because you had the 1 car before, yeah, 2 cars before. Because you had the 430 and then the 458. Man, that engine just... And it's so easy to blip the throttle too. Again, not a perfect rev match there, but it's pretty dang blippable. Yeah, this transmission's so slick. Man, it's a monster. It is a monster, properly. Still kind of getting used to this clutch. The pedals are all so close to each other, and I've got pretty big feet, and so I am struggling a bit, but it's fun. Man, is it fun. Wow. I feel like I personally cannot do this car justice, because yeah, I've owned like 3 or 4 manual cars, but this has got a completely different feel. The clutch it's got a heavier weight to it, but between the clutch actuation, trying to figure that out with the tight pedal box and this gated manual, it's some work, but I think that's a huge part of the experience. It's really cool, and the engine sounds phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So to sum things up, gated manual 360. I think this car is iconic. I can understand why these, 90s and 2000 cars, so from like 1990 to I'd say 2000 and like maybe like 2010, that roughly that range. These cars are becoming really popular. You know, part of it is Gen X and millennials are at that age where they've now got money, so that's part of the equation. But the other part is this is the last time. See that? I think I messed that up. This is the last time that you could. I think I messed it up again. Okay, that should be in. This is the last time you could get an analog car. Yeah, this is. Okay, sorry about that. Struggling to get it into reverse. The reverse gear. Oh, that's my way. The reverse gear, you have to like really, you have to push it down and pull it over, and it's got to be done with some thought, I guess. So yeah, overall, really cool car. It's super analog. Like, you hear everything. Gated manual, and these are, you know, I wouldn't call this affordable by any stretch, but for a Ferrari, it's not too bad. It is not too bad. So let me know your thoughts on the 360 with the gated, but as my first experience in a gated manual Ferrari, I am incredibly impressed.